Welcome, everybody.
Hello, hello. All right. It's scholarship night. Okay. Did you start recording already?
Yes, we are recording.
Okay. Well, without further ado, I won't make those watching the recording like wait minutes while I, get myself ready. So hi, everyone. I'm Jen Tracewell, and I'm here with my colleague Allison Steife, and we are presenting our final Ready Set College webinar series. Tonight is all about scholarships. So far, we've covered applications and essays and oh my goodness, Allison, what else did we talk about? It just is a big blur, but financial aid.
Financial aid was first. So we're bookending with financial aid and now scholarships. We're bookending with the dollars.
Excellent. So I work for the Baker Early College and also the Baker Web Academy. And on the early college side, those of you in sort of that I-5 corridor, Salem or Portland, Salem, Eugene, I'm your person to give extra college career support. And then for the Web Academy, I work with all of you. And then Allison, I'll have you kind of chat for a second.
Yeah, hi everyone. If we haven't met before, I'm seeing familiar names in our room tonight, but I am the early college counselor for college and career, especially for students in the Central Oregon region, as well as Southern Oregon and Eastern Oregon. So basically, I'm east of the Cascades. If you're an early college student, I'm your gal.
All right, fantastic. So you are probably here tonight because you are applying to college and you would like to get some support paying for it, or maybe you are not a senior and you're thinking ahead, or you're a parent and you're thinking ahead. So thank you for showing up here tonight and just taking this extra step to learn some more about how can I support myself or my student in paying for college. So here's our introductions. And we have everyone on mute just for the sake of reducing noise, but please don't hesitate to put questions in the chat, and Allison will be keeping an eye on the chat, and we'll have just a full open Q&A session at the end if anybody has other specific questions, or maybe questions specific to a scholarship that you're interested in. We will make ourselves available. And actually, Allison, also throw our emails in the chat box. I'm sure you already have them because Allison and I both email you pretty much every month, at least once, with the College Career Newsletter. And feel free to schedule an appointment with us. We're really excited to be able to support you all. So yeah, this was the rundown of what we've done so far: financial aid, college apps, essays, scholarships. That is all posted on our blog, as will tonight's presentation be posted on our blog. When we're all done, we'll have it recorded. We'll have all of the slides, links from tonight available. And there are a lot of links. So don't stress about needing to take a bunch of screenshots or writing down websites, as this will all be sent to you and made available to peruse at your leisure. So tonight we are going to cover at least these 4 major areas, plus some others. We're going to talk about institutional aid and what that means, state and local aid, matching services, which are like websites that match you to specific scholarships, and then some other tips and tricks as you are, starting this journey of, I want to go to college and I would like some help paying for it. So it can be pretty overwhelming to think about how can I pay for college, and we're here to support you and to encourage you that you can do it. Allison and I were both recently at a seminar where the gal was sharing the kind of a myth busting moment of, we have in our minds that kids have, $100,000 in college debt, and we hear these really big numbers, but the reality was actually very grounding for both of us, that the average college debt was, maybe like the amount of a car loan. It actually felt very reasonable. So it's okay in my book to have a little bit of college debt that you repay. You're invested in your education, and I think it gives you a little more motivation to work hard and succeed when you have to put something into it versus it all just being handed to you. So there's opinions on every side of the issue, but we really feel like there are some ways that you can mitigate that college cost. And so let's just go through some steps. Step number one would be estimating what college is going to cost you. And there is this thing called cost of attendance that includes everything involved with going to college. It's not just tuition. If you're on campus, it's going to be room and board. It could be book fees or other administrative type fees, or transportation if you're getting to and from places if you're not on campus. There are a lot of costs. Healthcare, some colleges are going to require some type of healthcare if you're not. Maybe won't get into the weeds, but cost of attendance. Every college is actually, there's a federal mandate that requires a cost of attendance to be listed somewhere on that college's website. And it's usually fairly easy to find. You could just do a Google search, University of Oregon cost of attendance, and it'll probably land you right on that specific website page. I just kind of popped right into there. You'll see, on the financial aid page of the University of Oregon, there's going to be this cost of attendance. Again, it's required, just full disclosure, transparency, so nobody's caught off guard with, oh wait, I didn't know it was actually going to cost me that much. So be mindful of the total cost of your education. Make a spreadsheet, and all of these links here that you see will be available. I won't click into every single link here, but it's helpful to make spreadsheets, keep track of what those costs are. A lot of these organizational tools we provide have been created by experts in the field, some created by us. There's a whole mix of things that you can use, but we definitely recommend being organized when it comes to all of the steps of college. There are organizational tools for keeping track of all your applications and deadlines, and the same thing goes with financial aid and scholarships. Keeping track of all of that is super important. We understand that that's a big factor in where you decide to go to college. How much money am I going to pay? It's not just what's my dream college, what college am I comfortable with this final bill. After you have applied to a college, been admitted, you filled out the FAFSA, only when all of those things have happened will you get a financial aid award letter. And once that starts coming in, you can begin to compare the financial aid awards from each university, college, and work on your personal spreadsheet to figure out your actual total cost. So keep that in mind. That Allison, I think somewhere last year, maybe I did a blog post on how to compare financial aid award letters. So you can go to our blog and try to dig that up, because there are ways to try to look at that information where you're comparing apples to apples, because every college financial aid award letter presents a little differently. They don't list things in the exact same order, and they might use different language. So you just have to really be savvy when you're trying to figure out, well, which is actually the best deal for me, right? All right, so that was step one, just that whole organization of what are my actual costs and what am I responsible for at the end of the day. Next step, meet with your financial sponsors. And, you could argue this should be step number one. Maybe this is a conversation that could be started when you're a freshman or sophomore or junior in high school, where you need to be thinking about this well before the day you submit that college application. So if you haven't already, have that possibly uncomfortable conversation with parents, guardians, family members, anyone that might be supporting your college journey, and make sure that you're on the same page, because often it can be the case where you thought or assumed XYZ person was going to help or give this amount, and they're actually thinking, oh no, I was thinking this amount. So try to get over that awkwardness and that uncomfortableness, and be as transparent as possible, both parents who are on the call tonight and students. Maybe you said, like, Allison, I think you had a student who, like maybe every Tuesday night was, a financial talking night. Do you want to talk about that for a second?
Yeah. So it can look like something you do with your parents every night, or every week or whatever. But yeah, I had a student who it was like financial aid Sundays, and they would, it started off figuring out, okay, how much can mom and dad contribute? And it continued on to, okay, this week we'll fill out the FAFSA together, and next week we'll look up scholarship applications together. And so get your parents involved with finances, because they're savvy. They've been handling finances for a long time, so use them.
Thank you. And yeah, that student might even be in the room tonight. But I think that's just a brilliant idea. It's advice that Allison and I have heard, and it's things we've actually seen in practice with some of the students we work with. Having regular check-in times, I think that's really important. All right, and then completing the FAFSA together. We've already done some financial aid nights, but there are still many, many of you who have not yet completed the FAFSA. So I want to encourage you to get that done, whether you think you may qualify for financial aid or not. This link right here goes to studentaid.gov, which is the official FAFSA site, the free application for federal student aid. And this is income-based. This is the need-based aid that we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to get into the scholarship part that you guys are eager to hear about. But even if you think you're not going to qualify for federal aid because your income is, maybe upper middle class or higher, we still encourage you to complete the FAFSA, because a lot of scholarships still look at FAFSA. And even if you didn't qualify for federal aid, it could still put you in a bucket of people that they would consider for scholarship purposes, where it's a much broader category. And they look at a much higher range of incomes when we're talking scholarships versus federal aid. So definitely get it done. I am here to help walk you through every step if you're confused or need support. I am a FAFSA parent. I have multiple kids in college, and I've done it for a number of years now. I've gotten to where I can just knock it out in a half an hour. And it is the easier of the different types of financial aid applications that you have to fill out depending on the college that you go to. So get that done. And then now you're ready to look at scholarships. So by now, in order of operations, get your college applications in first. Get your FAFSA done. Then leave space in your mind for applying for scholarships, because you don't want to miss early application deadlines or even regular application deadlines. The sooner you get those in, depending on the institution, it can increase your admissions chances. It can increase your chances of getting awarded scholarships. A lot of them are first come, first serve. So by now, when you're thinking of the step process, make sure that you've already done FAFSA, you've already completed college applications, and now here we are ready to apply for scholarships. And we're going to circle back to that in just a second. But I want to, before we get there, look at step 4, considering other forms of financial aid listed on your financial aid award letters that you're going to get in the spring. There are a few other things I want you to think about before you think about scholarships, which we do want you thinking about that and applying for those. But I want to make sure you understand the types of financial aid, and kind of going back to that financial aid award letter you're going to get. Their award letter is going to include multiple types of money. Some that is free money that you have no obligation to pay back, and that's what we're talking about tonight, will be grants and scholarships. There is also a type of aid called loans, and that's what we all like, we're afraid of loans. We don't want that. But there are types of loans that can support you towards your end goals. And those are subsidized versus unsubsidized loans. And basically, the subsidized loan, this is going to go back to why I think you should fill out the FAFSA. You can't access government subsidized loans if you haven't filled out a FAFSA. So even if you feel like I'm not going to qualify for a Pell Grant, you could still qualify for a federal subsidized loan, which has a very low interest rate. You will not get a lower interest rate pretty much anywhere. And subsidized means the government pays the interest for, the whole time you're in school plus 6 months after. So it's a big deal to access that type of money that you can get through the FAFSA. And then it's up to a certain amount. I want to say, like, is it 3,500? This is where I needed my notes. Allison, to remember those numbers. There's a federal limit each year on what amount of subsidized loan you can take out and what amount of unsubsidized federal loan. So, but the big deal on those federal loans is the interest rate, as it is for any loan we take out. That's my bottom line when I'm buying my house. Like, well, what's the best interest rate I can get? It makes a huge difference in the life of your loan and how much money you pay. So do the FAFSA, even if it means you're only doing it to get the best interest rate possible. And then work study is the other type of financial aid. And that is a guaranteed job on campus that goes directly to pay your school loans, your tuition or room and board. And that's really nice because I can attest to this. I have a couple of kids in college, and campus jobs can be at a premium. Most people are going to want to choose to work on campus because campus employers respect the fact that you're a student first. They're going to give you a lot of flexibility in your schedule. You don't have the travel time to get off campus to and from, or maybe you don't even have transportation. So it's really nice to take advantage of work study. And that just means a job on campus. That's all that means. And that money does not count against you when you're having to, for next year's FAFSA, report your income. So it's kind of nice that work study money, it's a better type of money to be earning than just a regular job off of campus. So we would, on that, when you fill out the FAFSA, if you haven't done that yet, there's always a question that says, would you like to be considered for work study? And Allison and I both always tell everybody, yes, please say yes. Even if you're not 100% sure you even want to work or that you would want that on-campus job, just say yes. It doesn't mean you have to take it. You can decline it at a later time, but we would recommend that it's a really good route to go. All right, so there's types of aids that you can get. All right, back to scholarships. This is what we're here to talk about. So we'll be going over 3 or 4 different types of scholarships, and I'm starting with the one that is, according to data, I don't remember the exact number, but it's something like 70% of all scholarships come from the institution itself, meaning the college that you go to. And part of it is because, like, your pool of kids that you're competing against is smaller, versus like the National Coca-Cola Scholarship, where like everybody in the country is applying for. Your likelihood, your percentage chance diminishes to like 0.001% or something, versus you're only competing against other OSU students or other U of O students or Western Oregon, whatever your college is. So we really recommend starting here. And often you can't access institutional scholarships till you actually have applied and been admitted. But we recommend starting there. So how you can start figuring that out is get really intimate with the financial aid page on your future school. And they will have information on those school-wide and department scholarships. And a great example, I love OSU Scholar Dollars, so I'm just going to show you super quick what that looks like. So any of you in the room thinking about applying to Oregon State, once you get that admissions, you are now in the running for all of the scholarships for new OSU students. And you can pick your category of I'm a resident, and you can now see all of the new freshman scholarships available to you. So go here first before, on your steps of scholarship hunting. This should be stop number one. What scholarships are available just for students at this college? A lot of them are going to be automatic. You don't apply for them. It's going to be based solely on your GPA, possibly an SAT score. I mean, like not this year because of, COVID world, but there's a lot of automatics just based on your statistics. And some you do have to apply for, usually like departmental scholarships or maybe an honors college scholarship. But definitely make that stop number one on your financial aid journey when you're looking for specific scholarships. The next big broad category after what we call institutional is state and local scholarships. And we have, several different avenues to go under state and local. So, and that's going to be based on your location. So stop number one on state and local, we do direct kids to OSAC. That is the Oregon Scholarship Access Commission, something like that. And we always just say OSAC. And this is a portal where you can fill out one application and apply to well over 500 scholarships. Not apply, I'm sorry, have access to. They let you actually apply to up to 40 of those 500 plus scholarships. But it's really nice because where else can you just fill out one application and have access to just literally hundreds to choose from? And you can see here on the screen, OSAC awards more than 17 million in scholarships annually, and your individual awards range from 1,000 to 10,000. Some of them are just for Oregon-based students and for Oregon-based colleges. For example, the Ford Family Scholarship is actually, that's not on OSAC anymore. I just realized that Ford Family has their own website now, and I don't think I included it in the slides tonight, Allison, but maybe put that in the chat box that students really should check out the Ford Family Foundation scholarship that does have its own website now, not through OSAC, but that's an example of an OSAC type scholarship that's not going to follow you out of the state. You have to go to an Oregon university, but a lot of the OSAC awards can follow you. My daughter won an OSAC award a few years ago. She's a junior now at a college in Massachusetts, and she recurringly, for the 4 years she's in undergrad, gets that same scholarship, and she's not at an Oregon university. So it really just depends. Read the description of the scholarship. I think maybe on the next page, I might have, maybe the page after this, somewhere I have a link to the OSAC catalog, which is a huge pro tip for you all when you're looking for OSAC scholarships. Like they try to match you, and they're going to always come up with some like recommended scholarships based on your profile, because part of the OSAC application is like these 14 different sections that you have to fill out with your like demographic information, your activities chart, your prospective major. And I would encourage you to not say undecided, because that could limit you from potential scholarships for like, maybe you're like kind of sure you want to be, an art major or a science major. Like, just write it down. It is totally okay if you change it, but I err on the side of putting something other than undecided, because it will match you up to more scholarships. And it's okay if you change your mind. So it is open right now, and the early bird deadline puts you in a lottery to win an extra $1,000. So that's February 15th. Definitely try to meet that deadline. I think you guys, we always talk about, use your winter break to do this task, finishing up those applications and starting on scholarship stuff. The final deadline is March 1st at 5 p.m. Don't wait till that day. There's like a ton of people at 5 p.m. trying to push submit and like not getting through. They are rigid, you guys. Like, if you do not meet that 5 p.m. deadline, I am sorry. there's not grace on that, unfortunately. Just make sure that you do get everything in on time. So here's the link to apply. And yes, there's my pro tip. Use the catalog because it lets you put in some keyword searches, because that, back to that recommended list, gosh, I want to say 8 times out of 10, they really don't match you very well. I'll be honest. I've been kind of disappointed as I work with students and look at the recommended list that OSAC pulls after they finish their whole profile. And it's like, how did they think this would actually match you? So the logic behind, you know, the website design, I guess, it isn't super intuitive. So using the catalog, and I put that link here because it's not readily apparent when you're filling out the OSAC application. So this 22-23 scholarship catalog is a great link to bookmark. So you do have a, you know, search tool. You can put in your high school type. You can actually choose your specific high school, and, you know, FAFSA related questions, because a lot of the scholarships actually are tied to FAFSA, which is another reason you should fill out the FAFSA. And so there you go. That's our big OSAC push. So moving on to the next type of scholarship is WUI, Western Undergraduate Exchange. And this is for those of you who maybe want to get away from home a little bit, but not too far from home. So WUE, WUE, it stands for Western Undergraduate Exchange, and it is a type of reciprocity agreement among I don't know how many Western states, you know, Idaho, Montana, Oregon, Washington, Alaska, Arizona, where you're not paying full out of state tuition. You know, if I have a student who says, oh, I really want to go to the University of Michigan, and I'm like, well, out of state tuition is like 3 times the cost of what a resident would pay. Can we think of another state that's a part of WUI that still gets you away and, you know, just feeling like you're having this really fun college experience that's not next door to your house? So we do suggest that you at least take a look at the WUI schools. Take a look at whether they have majors that you're interested in. And students who take advantage of the WUI, they're going to save an average of $9,000 a year. That minimum, you know, could be depending on your GPA, because the way most WUI schools work is they have a tiered system. If you're like 3.8 or higher, you get their highest WUI award. If you're, you know, 3.4 to 3.8, you get this tier. So there's a lot of automatic awarding that happens based on your GPA and or SAT score, but right now just GPA. And so they all have their own reduced tuition formulas. And yeah, I would definitely just take a look. I'll just show you what that website looks like for about 30 seconds, because they have some cool search features where you can search by major, like which college has, you know, kinesiology that's part of WUI, and you can do some quick searches, come up with like, oh, Boise State has what I'm looking for, and you can look at those costs, and they have like great little charts. So you know, just definitely take a look here. You know, maybe you have a certain state you know you want to be in. You can see really at a quick glance which states that you have to choose from. Did you guys see Hawaii right there? Yeah, I forgot to tell you, like, magical Hawaii is part of WUI. That's kind of fun. So yeah, take a look at that as a type of scholarship that you can access and, you know, save thousands of dollars through WUI. So that's kind of neat. The next place I want to send you to, I have a couple of scholarship websites that are our favorites because they're calendar style, that everything we don't like about the OSAC website, we love about Oregon Gear Up and Oregon Goes to College. OSAC is great. One application for hundreds of scholarships. However, the organization of the site itself kind of like leaves us a little frustrated. So Oregon Gear Up and Oregon Goes to College are really user-friendly scholarship lists. And You know, a lot of them are specifically for Oregon students. A lot of them are for nationwide. But what's really cool is they're listed by due date. They have a brief description. And so I put both of those links right here. I'll pop into the, Oregon Goes to College. I'll look at this one because it's, I love it so much. But they're both really similar. They look the same in terms of the user interface. So if you go to the Oregon Goes to College, and again, even though it has the word Oregon in the title, it's not necessarily just Oregon schools. So you can see the next deadline that would hit us would be November 14th. There's a title and you can click on it and get more info. There's a quick description that says, oh, up to 3,000 if I'm Hispanic Latino and I have shown leadership. Also November 15th, Alex found it anyway. So it's really cool with a quick overview, a date. So those of you who are using those organizational tools and calendaring what you need to do, and maybe you're like, oh, I'm going to do 5 a week. Now you know which 5 you should do first based on these deadlines. So I love both of those sites. So Oregon Gear Up or Oregon Goes to College are 2 super similar search engines that we recommend. And then finally, in this category, we have district lists. So often, Allison and I really struggle with telling kids, well, what scholarships are available, like for Baker students, because Baker students live all over the state of Oregon. And, we're always just scratching our head like, how do I figure out, well, for the kid who lives in Eugene, what's available to you that's specific to your region? So this is where district lists come in. And those are spreadsheets or websites where every school, like every brick and mortar school, lists scholarships that local students can apply for and be eligible for. So we always recommend go to your local high school, as in what would your local brick and mortar school be? Were you going to a brick and mortar school? Go there, look at their college career page, and they will all have a link to their scholarships. So for example, I do live in Bend, Oregon. So I was checking out yesterday the Ben Lapine scholarship list. So I just went to, the scholarship page for Mountain View High School. They had a link to this big document, Ben Lapine scholarship. So any of you in the room tonight who live in Central Oregon, this is your list for local scholarships, either local to Central Oregon or Oregon. And every district in the state is going to have something similar to this. So check that out when you're trying to figure out, what's local to me. Sorry, I didn't mean to blast through that. So that's a district list. Enough said on that. Matching services is the next sort of big bucket way to find scholarships that we haven't talked about yet. So it's different from everything we've talked about so far, because so far I've been sending you to a specific website to look for a specific scholarship. Like you are going to the university's website and seeing what's available and applying. You're going to your school district website and seeing what's there. A matching service is different because you are getting matched up to a scholarship based on your demographics, your GPA, your interests, and more. There are a lot of matching services out there, and I can't even list them all on this page. I've come up with 5 that I like. I could come up with 5 more in addition to this that I like. But anything that I put on this website right here, this presentation, know that it's been vetted and it's safe, because I feel like there's a lot of sort of unsafe search engines out there. And, namely anything that asks you to pay money, don't do that. That would be my first red flag. There are so many free options for matching services that you should use. Don't pay for it. So Unigo, FastWeb, Sallie Mae, College Board, and scholarships.com. I will pick just one of these to show you super quick, which is College Board, because I like that the College Board has this whole scholarship scheme set up where if you go through certain steps, you automatically can win scholarships. And one of those steps is searching for scholarships. So if you, use their services like or Khan Academy to study for the SAT, or if you um, set up a college list on Big Future, if you do scholarship searches. Anyway, they have this little list of, if you do these things that every college bound student should do, we're putting you in this lottery to win scholarships. So one of those steps is doing a scholarship search. So the Big Future one, which is part of College Board, which is the same organization that runs the SAT, and they have tons of other services, is you put your personal information in. And I know that can feel a little weird where you're giving, your birth date, what school you go to, what your academic aspirations are. You're having to give away some of your information in exchange for getting matched to scholarships, which is why, we tell you to be really careful about which of these matching services that you use, and you want to know that your data is safe. So start with the ones that we listed here. And if you feel like my needs aren't met, then talk to us first, maybe, or just, use your best judgment, but just definitely be careful. But we can stand behind the ones those 5 that we listed. And so this is where you're just going to go in, make a profile, and again, right here, you see enter as much information as possible to find the most matches. So the better job you do setting up your profile, the better job this search engine can do with matching scholarships that fit your profile. And so I highly recommend this one, and really all of them on this list right here. You go to any reputable, college career counseling person or website, and this will be on their list for sure. So I would definitely take a look at some of those. And notice I saved this for the last. This is usually, honestly, where people go first. And it's great that it's on your to-do list, but it should not be where you go first. Start with, Allison, can we do a little quiz here? Check the chat box. What should be the first place students go to look for a scholarship? So put it in the chat box right now. Allison, tell me if somebody knows the answer. Where should you go first when you're trying to look?
We'll give you all the gold stars if you can remember, because we've talked a lot about it. Yes, the university, the institution. Molly and Jennifer, you nailed it.
Okay, thank you. Bravo, good job. Pop quiz of the night. And so it's great to use search engines that we call matching services, but don't do that until you've done those other things. You've done the FAFSA, OSAC, even though I say that with like, the website is like from 1980, but it's still like, I still believe in it, even though anyway, institutions. Yeah, there you go. And then a few more little words of wisdom. We're almost done. I know we've been at this for quite a while now. Our first tip is staying organized, which I've talked about kind of a lot up front with, making those spreadsheets. So you want those for those financial aid award letters. This spreadsheet, I think I have the link here correctly, where it's a really cool scholarship website by the College Place, Oregon, an organization that I love. Jen Satellino, who runs that, is like my idol. But the scholarship application tracker, you can download this and use it, start filling out your scholarship name, maybe the URL, criteria, maybe there's a GPA or some other criteria, the deadline, and try to stack these. Like if you use an Excel type spreadsheet that's sortable, that you can sort by due date, I definitely recommend that, so you know what to work on first. Amount, and then what do they require? Do they require essays or letters of rec or whatever? So I love this tracker right here. I can't really think of anything I would do personally to make it better, so use this. So definitely staying organized, and if you don't want to use that one, maybe take a look at it and just kind of modify it to what makes sense for you. So, turn it into your own Google Doc. And the reuse and recycle tip right here, it's the same thing that we've been telling you to do for college application essays, same thing for scholarship essays. If you have anything that's anywhere in the ballpark of what they're asking and you already wrote it for another scholarship, just tweak it a little bit. Don't forget to change any pertinent name information. Yeah, I really want to apply for the Coca-Cola scholarship and it's really the Ford Family Foundation scholarship. Like pay attention to those words, but definitely reuse and recycle. And then starting early is, yeah, get going on this. I know I did tell you, yes, please do your college applications first. Reason being, that's what gives you access to institutional scholarships, but definitely start now as soon as you can. Yeah, if this is a motivator to get your college applications done, awesome. But get those done so you can start like making this your little part-time job. And that's actually what it's going to be, because our goal for you is to do 5 to 10 scholarship applications per week, which you're like, oh my gosh, are you insane? But no, really, you should. If you could make that your goal, that would be amazing. And if you can't do 5 to 10 a week, okay, I would accept one a week. All right. That would be like my lowest bar for you. Do one scholarship application a week once you're done with your college apps, and just keep doing that. Now, here was an interesting thing. I had one of my kids graduate last year from high school, and I went to the senior awards assembly where they announce who gets what scholarship. And this one guy, I swear he won every other scholarship. And I knew the kid. He was on her, cross country ski team. And afterwards, I'm like, Brad, wow, congratulations. That's really awesome. Okay, I was not at all jealous. Okay, yes, I was. But it's like, well, how did you do this? And he followed this rule right here that we're telling you. He did this. He made it. He's like, yeah, it was my part-time job. And I think he did 5 to 7 a week, and he had the percentage of return. He was a really smart mathematical kid. And I think he said he applied to like 50, and out of the 50 he was awarded 12. And which equaled to his college is fully paid for, completely fully paid for, because he decided it was important enough to devote time towards this job. So if you can think of it as a part-time job, it does pay an investment. Maybe you don't get college 100% paid for, but if you broke it down into an hourly wage, I guarantee it would be well more than minimum wage by the time you actually followed our formula right here.
I read somewhere once, right, and it depends on every student and every kind of application you're filling out, and there's a lot of variables, but I did read somewhere somebody did throw out a number of $40 an hour is if you're submitting a lot of applications and they're very high quality, then that was the rate that this article threw out, which it's always nice to like kind of have an idea of a number. So you're right, well above minimum wage.
Thank you for that number. I didn't know that data was actually out there. I mean, I knew just watching this kid at the high school awards, I'm like, yeah, dang, he probably made $100 an hour at the end of the day. So just keep at it. It does take a lot of work, but you'll notice once you kind of get in a groove, you're able to reuse those essays because they do tend to be very similar at the end of the day. There might be 5 to 7 types of essays, and once you've done them once, you can just plug and play for all the different types. Variety. Look for big awards, look for small awards. Do not discount this little, oh, it's only $1,000. Well, that's $1,000 that you don't have to go out and earn now. So just really try to get in the mindset of not discounting even the small numbers. And then institutional and private, just look for on the private end. I will say Start in your backyard, start with maybe your parents or grandparents or people, organizations you're involved with. If your parent is a teacher, maybe they're part of the NEA and there are certain grants awarded to children of that profession. That's a really big one that often gets overlooked. So check with your parents, with their employers, if there are scholarships available for people who are employed by so-and-so, or organizations you belong to, like an Elks Club or certain church organizations. There's a lot of private or community-based or affiliate organizations that have scholarships attached. So pay attention to that. And then the types of essays, essay, lottery, merit, etc. There's a lot of, if you're scared of essays, there's a ton of no essay scholarships out there. There are some that are based on merit, which would be, something you've achieved either through GPA or an activity you were involved in or something. Some are just pure lottery. So diversify, just like, they tell us in the stock market, diversify your funds. Same thing here. And then the devil is in the details. Is that the quote? Really pay attention and read eligibility criteria carefully. Make sure you've noted all application requirements. Something that might seem pretty minor to you might, end up disqualifying you if you didn't pay attention to it, whether it's a due date or, like a supplemental document that was required. Like, just really pay attention to that. Follow prompts, follow word counts exactly as they're listed. And yeah, I had a student recently ask me about a particular essay prompt that they wanted to answer differently. And they felt like, well, I want to be more creative with it. And I want to do this with it instead. And I can appreciate that sometimes that works, but that is a risk that you're going to take. And so we really advise, if they say that they want 500 words, do that instead of, presenting them, a copy of a painting that you poured your heart into. So like, definitely follow it as listed. You're going to be a lot safer. There are reasons that they're looking for specific things. And just like with your college application essays, same goes, the ask someone to review it with you. Allison and I are always happy to do that. Use your parent or guardian or, an older sibling or some trusted person. Definitely get another pair of eyes on something. I like this page right here. There, Allison, I think you are the queen of finding really fun scholarships. I think you're the one who came up with it. Allison helped build this presentation tonight. So there's always some fun ones out there to break up the monotony when you're feeling like, oh, this is like such drudgery, I cannot do this another moment. So when you're feeling like that, go to this link and look at the 32 weird scholarships to save you money. And so you'll find some where you can do a doodle for Google Scholarship. You can do a stuck at prom. Was that the one where you had to do the weird like outfit or something?
That's you make a prom dress or a suit out of duct tape. It's amazing. If you click, don't do it now, but if students, you go click on that, people make really amazing things. It's really fun to even just see. So yeah, if you have a flair for fashion, that's a good one.
There you go. Oh yeah, the tall clubs one. I think as long as you are 6'2" or higher in height or something like that, you can qualify for that one. There's just a lot of there was the one, I don't know if it was a company, something like Les Schwab, where you had the dime. Like if all you had to do was show yourself checking the tread on your tire.
Oh my gosh, yes. And it was $100,000. I'll see if they're doing it this year. They didn't do it last year. They did it the year before. Yes, it was a picture on social media of you checking the tread on your tire or your tire pressure. And you just hashtagged it and then you were entered in for a lottery. So
love it. Love it. So, definitely check out the weird wonky ones for fun. You're going to need that. We know it is hard to be a senior, those of you in the room who are seniors, and it's overwhelming and it's really stressful. And sometimes you need a break. to be a little silly and fun, and it could pay off. I mean, the thing is, when you have really lower bar scholarships where you just need to hashtag a photo, obviously more people are going to enter, but there's still that chance, just go for it. So we have some links for some simple, silly, fun ones that are like no essay scholarships. Okay, oopsies. Okay, so before you go tonight, oh yes, I'm going to be under an hour. So, the links here: start your FAFSA, which I already talked about. Don't forget Oregon Promise. So those of you in the room who are headed towards community college and as maybe a stop along the way to something else, or maybe that's your final destination, please do the Oregon Promise. It is open right now. And that is the grant that could potentially pay for what pays. I never know the language to use because they don't release the financial data until the spring. Most years there's really not a financial limit. Some years, it's always higher than FAFSA. Okay, if you don't qualify for FAFSA, the qualification for Oregon Promise is like much broader. So it pays for up to 90 credits at any Oregon community college. When I say pays for, I say that kind of loosely because it may not 100% pay. Maybe you're left with several $100s, but I mean, it's just going to pay the major chunk of your tuition at any Oregon community college, up to 90 credits. Those of you in the early college, you're already going to have used a bunch of those 90 credits. So this may not apply so much to you guys as it does to, Web Academy kids, or maybe late comers to early college who still have a bunch of unused credits, and you want to use those before you head off to whatever else you're going to do, maybe a four-year college, or maybe that is your final destination. But for Oregon residents, that is just an absolutely incredible program that I love, and always want to make sure you hit that. And I try to tell families, just the same night you do FAFSA, just do Oregon Promise, because the Oregon Promise application takes 5 minutes. It's so short. I have timed it. I have sat side by side with students, and I've done it for my own children. It literally takes 5 minutes. So don't overlook it. Even if you don't think you're going to go to an Oregon community college, plans can change, as we have seen over the last year and a half. The world can get turned upside down and things can change. And then some schools use the CSS profile, which is a completely different FAFSA type financial aid application. It's mostly your private, more elite colleges, and it is not federal financial aid, and it's not instead of the FAFSA, it's in addition to the FAFSA, and it's institutional aid. So it's those colleges like maybe Stanford or Reed College, or there's a ton of private schools that use this financial aid application in partnership with the FAFSA. So always just double check. I will never forget the one year a family was applying, the student was applying to Bates College back east. They didn't realize it was a CSS profile school, and it's the night before everything is due, and they suddenly realize, oh, I have to do this other thing instead, and it's harder than the FAFSA. It's like more in depth. So just check ahead of time, and that link will take you to the college board because it's actually run by the college board. And so it's a whole nother type of financial application. And unfortunately, I have a child who goes to a CSS profile school, so I have to do that every year. But it's doable. It just goes a little more in depth than FAFSA and looks at a broader financial picture. But it's very doable. Just as you're gathering your tax information for FAFSA, try to do the CSS, within the same time frame, so you already have like all your stuff, right? So that is, even though that's not directly scholarship, it is very related to helping you pay for college. I had just mentioned the Oregon Promise, and I wanted to make sure that you guys knew what your deadlines were on that. And June 1st. Don't wait till June 1st. Do it now. And so that's for students who are going to start community college by fall. Please know you have an earlier deadline if you plan to start community college sooner than that. So if you were an early grad and you were going to potentially start community college by winter, you already missed your deadline, which was November 1st. The other early grads who were potentially going to start community college in the spring, you're good. You haven't missed your deadline yet. It's February 1st. So just know that Oregon Promise is like really, really finicky and picky about your start date. And for early grads, that's a sticking point. So just please talk to Allison or myself if you are an early grad and you intended on using the Oregon Promise. Please talk to us and let's talk about ways we can help you make that work. And they just have this 6-month rule. You have to start community college within 6 months of your high school graduation. So that is the deal with that. And just keep swimming. All right. That is it. If you have questions or want to stick around and chat with us, please do. We'll just, open it up to you using your microphones if you want at this point. And I don't know if there was anything in the chat that you wanted to cover, Allison, but that's the official end of our scholarship night. So